Good morning, everybody. Rich Cotieri here with Scott Graham. Mike Malai is floating around the universe somewhere, but he will come. He will be in here eventually. Hi, Ted. Hi, Deb. Nice to see you guys. Today we're going to talk about television writing. We're going to talk about sitcom writing, which is different than writing for our dramas and our television writing. This is usually 28 minutes. I broke it down at 30 minutes because sometimes it's if you're writing like for Netflix or something like that, there's no commercials. So just to break down classic three-act structure. Sorry, it's my agent. It's hysterical. We're getting a new agent, so we're dealing with that. Sorry, back to this. So for sitcom writing, it's a classic three-act structure, which with act breaks. And I'm going to just break it down for you guys if you're interested in writing for that genre of writing. So Act One is the first thing you'll notice about a sitcom is the setup, which is usually called the cold opening, and that's around 1 to 3 minutes. And you've seen it, right? It's right before the credits and the music of the it's right before the Friends fountain thing and all before the credits and the music and then the introduction of the show. So it's the cold opening. It's it's humorous scene unrelated to the main plot. It usually grabs the audience attention before the theme song, and that's usually 1 to 3 minutes. And that's included in your Act One setup. And they do that. They sell. Then they go to commercial usually, and you make some money, and they sell some stuff. So then the next 3 to 7 minutes is important with TV sitcoms because we're going to introduce the problem. And that's where your inciting incident is going to occur. Right? We know about that where, with screenplay writing for movies, that's around 10, 15 pages. That's where our inciting incident is going to occur. But with television, because it's such a small, we only have 28 to 30 minutes. In that 3 to 7 minute mark, that's where your inciting incident is going to occur. Okay, so it's a sitcom. So we meet the main characters. It's in their usual environment, right? It's a new situation every week, usually, right? It's a new problem, and it's going to drive that week's episode, right? And it could be an external event. It could be a character's desire. It could be a character's conflict, right? So this is still Act One. So once in that 3 to 7 minute range, once we know what that event is, if you really notice, then from 7 to 10 minutes is where you get your characters' reactions. The other characters in the sitcom, you get their reactions. They had their initial attempts to react to the problem, right? They begin to take their initial steps to address the problem. And it often leads to comedic results. Hopefully, if it's a sitcom, it should be funny, right? So what's interesting about like sitcom writing is everything is like really unlike your movies, right? Everything is timed. Like everything is in minutes, right? So character reactions, okay, we know 7 to 10 minutes, right? So what's going to happen around the 10 to 12 minute mark with a sitcom is your cliffhanger, right? Your turning point. Something happens that raises the stakes and it's going to complicate the situation. It has to push the characters in a new direction. And really why this is designed at that point, and it sounds weird, but it's designed to keep the audience engaged with the first commercial break. We want to make sure the audience is going to come back after that first commercial, that they're going to come back and watch the rest of the show. And that's why if you watch, when you guys watch the sitcom or watch one tonight, just for shits and giggles, you'll see why it's there. It's there so people will come back. So just real quick, just to go over it real quick, you guys. I mean, because this is like a whole. I mean, I teach this in like 8 to 10 weeks, so this is just like a quick thing. If you guys have any questions, just email me. Richard Words to Film by, Mike the Words to Film by, Scott the Words to Film by. So your cold opening is 1 to 3 minutes, right? And that's again, right before the theme song, and usually it's unrelated to the main plot that week. You can make it related if you want, but usually it's unrelated. Then we're going to introduce the problem, which is going to be your inciting incident, and that's 3 to 7 minutes. Okay, and again, that's the main characters in their usual environment, and that's where you're going to introduce your problem, your inciting incident, and that's going to drive that week's episode. Okay, and then the next 7 to 10 minutes, you're going to have character reactions, right? They're all going to figure out. I'm so sorry, guys. They're going to figure out how to address the problem, how they're going to fix it.
We can pause if you want to take that.
No, it's okay. Unfortunately, I'm using my phone for my notes. I don't know how to actually stop the
notification.
Oh, you know what? Let me just do this. I'm so silly. We're just muting these dummies. There you go. There we go. All good. Okay.
A quick question for you, Rich. Yes, we do this, but I want to ask you: does the same formula is only for comedy, or is it for any type of TV series?
No, just sitcom.
Just sitcom.
Yeah.
Specifically commercial television.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I lost my notes, of course.
What's funny is I can see what you're doing in your glasses. Not exactly, but yeah. I'm just trying to fill the airwaves.
Hi, everybody. Sorry I was late.
There you go, Mike.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, you didn't look like you knocked yourself out, buddy.
Dude, I like it was like, wow. I've been knocked out before, but it came close, but I didn't.
Did you run into a door? What happened, buddy?
Walked right into a big beam, and it was like, dude, it's like I heard this. Bong.
No, that was your brain rattling against
Yeah,
the
it was
side of your skull. Oh man.
But I didn't wake up trading places with my son, so that would have been
okay, great. No
sad for him, great for me it would have been.
no
Mike, can you send me the note I sent you yesterday? Because I lost it.
Yes.
I lost my note.
Let me do that.
All those messages just now.
Speaking of inciting incidents, is this like where
I'm so sorry
happens and like we get all the character reactions?
Oh my god!
I'll be there right now.
Of course, this is the time I manager and I'm trying to get a new agent. So this was going on all day yesterday.
Of course.
He just bombarded me. I don't know how I lost my notes.
Come on. Let's get around that. There we are. I yell at my wife all the time and Teddy because they have so many icons on their screens. Every file in the world is open. Both of them, him and my wife.
And now you need to.
And you're not going to deny it, Ted. And I have become that person. So
I plead guilty.
The worst thing Google could have ever done to me is allow me to group tabs together and save them for later.
Yeah, I agree on that one too. That's great.
Now I've got closed tab hell instead of open tab hell.
weird is this?
Okay, I sent it over to you.
Thank you, buddy.
You're welcome. I think you had stopped at.
I know where I stopped at. I just don't. I'm just curious to where it went, and how it just disappeared. No,
I anticipate a gigantic edit in this clip, in this whole thing.
okay, I'm sorry, guys. Okay, so Act 2. We're into Act 2, right? So the
We were still on. Weren't you still on Act 1? It was 3 to 7 minutes. We meet the main characters, usual environment, character reactions.
we already went through that, so I was just talking. I was just going over it real quick.
Gotcha.
So yeah, so so something's going to happen that raises the stakes, right? And that's going to get us to the first commercial break. So Act 2, beginning of Act 2, they come back from the first commercial break. Act 2 is our confrontation and rising action. Okay, so that's going to develop the conflict. So that's 12 to 18 minutes. So the characters actively pursue their goals related to that central problem. So new obstacles are going to be introduced, right? Because they have to, if they can't figure it out yet, right? So different comedic strategies are going to have to happen, and it has to escalate the comedic problem. But here's the deal: in those 12 to 18 minutes, something has to happen, and that's called the. If you notice, at any sitcom, there's always an A plot and a B plot. Sometimes there's a C plot, but we're not going to worry about that today. So there's always a secondary storyline that's called a B plot, right? So many sitcoms feature a smaller secondary plot involving different characters or different aspects of the main situation. Okay, so that's going to be in that 12 to 18 minute mark. So you got your confrontation, rising action, and then you're going to have to put your B story in there. And this is where it gets a little funky. Okay. So that's going to take us 12 to 18 minutes. So we're getting close now, but from 18 to 20, you're going to have some more complications and setbacks. You're going to face we call it turning the screw with comedy. Something's going to happen where it's actually going to get even higher. So the conflict's going to get even higher. More comedy is going to have to happen. More complications are going to have new challenges. Must from 18 to 20 minutes, something new has to happen. Your initial attempts must fail, leading to more comedy. So now we're getting close to a second commercial. So from minutes 20 to 22, we call it the Act 2 cliffhanger. It's also called turning point. The main conflict must reach a crucial point, right? A moment of high tension, a significant elevation. It's going to lead us into your final commercial break. Again, it's going to get them to come back.
You know what's really going to suck, guys? Next time you watch a sitcom, you're going to sit there and overanalyze it and watch it, because it's really hard to, after you're looking at the formula, and then saying, oh my God, it's like I'm watching that. I'm not allowed to watch any stuff with my wife and talk. If I start, she pulls a roll of duct tape out of the center seat. She goes, you want to put it on or should I? Yeah, it really is. This is dead on.
Yeah, it's once you start getting into this stuff, you just ruined it. It's like acting. Once you start, once you become an actor or a writer, everything is just analyzed, and yeah, I don't know. It's different. It's not good or bad. It's just different,
Christopher said to me the other day, I can't. We were watching some action series episode, and he says, Dad, I swear to God, I'll shoot you with a Nerf gun if you say Chekhov's gun. I swear to God. I know it's there. It's on the wall. I see what you're talking about. There's the object. Yes, we're going to see it again. It's there for a reason. Okay. Please don't say anything. He shot me with the Nerf gun anyway.
You say good son.
Yeah.
So we get into Act 3, which is the resolution. That's the climax. Minutes 22 to 25. The central conflict comes to a head. This is often the funniest or most dramatic part of the episode. And then minutes 25 to 28 is your resolution. The main problem is resolved. Not always in comedy, not always the way the characters expected. Then you usually go back to a commercial after that. And then you come back and you have your tag, it's called, or a scene, or you call it a button. And that's around 30 seconds. And it's a short final scene that wraps up a loose end or provides one last laugh, really. So that's really your a loose. I give it to you loose because sitcoms are really funny, guys, because that's a basic thing, but sometimes they stray. They really stray depending on the show. They really stray. When I wrote the things for King of Queens, it was A, B, and C. They wanted A, B, and C's. They wanted 3 things. So it's like it just really depends. If you're going to write a spec script for a television series, you really want to find out what their format is because they change. When you're writing a 1 hour television, that format changes too. You really got to find out what the showrunner is using.
A half hour is 22 minutes.
It depends. It depends.
On commercial, on streaming, it's different. It's 30 minutes.
It just depends. Yeah. But the things to remember, really things to remember, consider when you're writing a sitcom is everything. And I believe this with anything we write as writers, but everything is character driven. Right. But especially with sitcoms, especially if you're going to write if you're writing for a show or you're writing a spec script, which you're all going to have to write a spec script anyway if you want an agent. You're all going to have to write a spec script from a show that is on the air now. They all have this thing. They have distinctive, traits. And look at Friends. I use them as an example always because each one of those characters is different in their own way, right? So you have to write it's all character driven. The underlying concept of the show needs to be funny. You have to find out what that concept is. When you're writing for sitcom, there's always has to be the conflict needs to have a central conflict. Either it could be internal, it could be external. You know what I mean? Friends, Ross and Rachel had a relationship that, they loved each other. That's internal. Then there was an episode where Ross had like a wart on his butt, and that's external. So, I mean, it's, it can be either one. Just remember, comedy, it can come from various sources. Your comedy can come from interactions, dialogue, physical comedy. It can come from irony. So much it can come from. And remember with sitcoms is that like pacing is so important. You have to really understand pacing and where jokes come
in. Good example. Remember, it's old, but I loved it. MASH. Alan Alda's pacing and his comedy always came from dialogue, and it was very Groucho Marx-esque, with some the way he would make comments in his humor. It was old school comedy, but everyone was timed so well, and his pacing was great.
He's amazing.
Yeah, with the interactions and stuff, it was always great.
Really make sure when you're writing for a comedy, for any comedic endeavor you're going to write, make sure you really have your beats and transitions. Because, when you write, beats and transitions equal emotion. Even when you're an actor, when you beat out a scene, every transition is an emotional beat, right? Because an emotion, a beat is a transition. It's an emotional change, a physical change. So, or a thought change. That's what a beat is. So make sure you beat out your comedy. But in summary, a typical half-hour network sitcom, they definitely follow a 3 act structure. It just depends how they do it. Because if you look at Modern Family, it's different than I Love Lucy. It's just different. So again, you got to find out what the showrunner is using and how they're doing. A single camera is different than 3 camera, or 4. They use 4 cameras now. They don't even use 3 cameras anymore. But
you can almost count the timing off of the camera switches too.
Yeah,
I mean it's hard to take your magnifying glasses off once you know the formulas. It's like, it really is sitting there watching, like with my hand over my mouth, So
if you haven't seen a sitcom shot, I really recommend at least seeing that shot. If you go to LA, they're free tickets. They give them out for free. Just be prepared to stay there it's a long night. It's not it's not a half hour. It's definitely going to take you 6 or 8, 10 hours. It takes a long time. And you'll see the writers really changing jokes right there. If something doesn't work, they're right. Because they stop in between stuff, and writers will you'll see them all stopping. They'll all attack the actors, and they'll all be like, "That didn't work. What's funny? What could I try here? Try this. What do you want to say? That's okay. What do you say? Let's go with this one. We'll try it again. If it doesn't work, they all come back again. And it's just a constant to see what's funny. So
Rich is right. It's like, you used to hear the announcer come on and say, tonight's broadcast is being shot before a live studio audience. I don't remember what show it was, but I remember, and you're bringing reference to what he said, how long it takes, 8, 10 hours that they're shooting it. I don't remember what show it was, but I remember they said shot before a semi-live audience.
that's funny. Well, Barney Miller was shot in 2 days.
Was it really?
That's how insane they were about the jokes. Yeah.
I love that show so much.
It was great, and that's why it was great. But yeah, they shot it in 2 days. That's how long. I mean, they kept the studio audience there one day, then they'd have another audience come in the next day. It was, yeah. So
Max Gale was from Detroit. He played Wojciechowicz.
Yeah.
And every couple of months you'd see him in Greektown. He'd come to the restaurant, visiting his sister Emily. She had a business on Jefferson, so it was cool to see him.
Yeah, I saw him on.
Hey, Rich, any thoughts on character development? And in a movie you have more time, obviously. In a film, to build out your characters. In a sitcom, they're kind of in your face right from the beginning. Any thoughts on character development in a sitcom?
Are you in what are you talking about? Something you're creating, or are you talking about?
Well, I actually have ideas for a sitcom as well, but it doesn't. These characters that are bigger than life, often you'll see them in a sitcom, and in a pilot, you don't really know the background of that character, so they have to establish who they are right away. It seems.
Well, if you're creating it, right, you're gonna have a series Bible, so you'll understand more about you'll understand the character because you're creating, and you'll have a series Bible, right? So you'll know where you want to go with the character, right?
Gotcha.
And if you're writing for a show, you'll have an idea of the characters, because by that time you'll be able to have read some of the scripts, you'll have seen the show, so you'll have an idea where they're going with the character, and they'll tell you where they're going. You know what I mean? It also won't make any sense.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's funny. You stop and think about the old shows that were staples. Talk about character development. When they put together Happy Days, Fonzie, who ended up like the main character, was a minor character. He wasn't meant to be. If you look at the original series Bible, which I think is still available on that internet movie script database under the television ones, I think that series Bible, you'll see he was just a very minor character making a couple of appearances, and instead he ended up crossing over into Laverne and Shirley and the other shows. They were all connected, and he ended up a main character. Was always surrounded by Richie Cunningham, and
Right.
you see the transition. Hey, the audience responds so well to Fonzie, Henry Winkler, that they elevated his character and wrote more for him, made him more part of it.
Yeah, because it was Ron Howard's show.
Yeah.
Yeah, but network executives see where something's going, and it's all about the money.
Well, it's all about the money. Absolutely.
So yeah, that's what I've got with this. Any questions? I threw a lot at you guys in a half hour. It's a lot. So if you have questions, please ask. Television writing is a different animal than screenplay writing, but
I had one question though.
it's like I tell actors, do more than one thing. Learn improv, learn Shakespeare, learn classical, learn don't just be more than one dimensional. That's how you get high.
You said you must write a spec script to a live show in order to get an agent.
Well, it's part of this. It's part of the package. Remember we talked about what's in a package,
and
the spec script is usually in the package.
Oh, I didn't know you had to do one for a sitcom though.
Well, if you want to get a job as on the
it's just for whatever genre you're. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it is.
I thought you were saying like you have to write a bunch of these things, and this is one of them. I'm like, oh God, no.
No, in your package, you want to be well rounded in your package, right? I would write I'd write 2 or 3 sketches. If there's a sketch comedy show, I would write a spec script. I would an original sitcom script, and of course have 2 or 3 full screenplays, totally flushed out. No first drafts. 3 or 4 drafts. I mean, ready to go. The best work you can give out. Remember, a completed script is just first draft.
So here's a question.
Yes.
First of all, I can't now I can't watch a sitcom without thinking about all this stuff. It was my one sacred place where I didn't really have to think too hard. But I do love writing screenplays, but this, it's like you're throwing down the gauntlet, like here's another challenge. So what would you, not that I have time right now to do this, but let's say I say, okay, I'm going to try this. What I'm thinking of doing is sitting down with my little stopwatch and watching maybe one of my favorite sitcoms, and even if it's old, and then writing a script based on one of those. Or I guess it doesn't matter, but just as a
what's your favorite, what's a show that you love, that you really love?
Oh, I love The Office.
Okay.
I've been watching, I'm really behind that television. It's not because it's not my passion, but I just saw the first season of Ted Lasso that I really
love it.
That's one of Richard's favorites.
Yeah. So, like I said, I'm behind. I don't have regular television, so I don't watch. I kind of get reruns, and I'll go to the library and watch reruns and stuff like that. It doesn't matter. I'm just saying, what would be your approach? If you just wanted to try this out, what would be your approach?
I wouldn't time it out. The first thing I would do is find a show the characters, and the very first, and the first thing I would do is just follow the structure I gave you. And I wouldn't worry about the time even. I would just put it into those 3 acts. Just follow the acts, first, second, and third. Excuse me. Write your opening. Write your button, and just start with that. Yeah, that's what I would start with. I wouldn't get crazy about the time and all that stuff.
Okay.
Just know where you have to be, because that's what your showrunner is going to help you with too. And the staff of writers will help you too. So, yeah, that's what I would do. Something the characters really well. And have fun with it.
I think, and I don't know if that's changed at all, but on
lots changed. A lot of it depends. Again, it depends on if it's a one. It used to be sitcoms were all three camera technique. Now you have 1 camera, you have 3 cameras, 4 cameras. So much has changed. That's what I'm saying. You got to find out from the showrunner what exactly how they're shooting. But a lot of them still are 3 acts.
You should still, I think so, Rich. You should still be able to reach out to the production company and say, "Hey, I want to submit a spec script. Can you send me a format of your what format you use, for submissions?" Or you can reach out to the the production company and say, "Hey, is there a link that you have to to what your submission guidelines are and what.
Well, she's gonna have to have, you gotta have an agent. You can't just submit, like, it's still the same process. You can't just submit without an agent.
Right. No. But I'm saying putting together your spec script in the proper format would be a plus too. You
I
know?
think all you gotta do is go, it's easily found. The Office or Ted Lasso scripts are easily found online.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, easily found online. Simply Scripts has them, you know.
Simply Scripts. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, and they're free. You know, and see what you would do. But yeah, just
go
find
to
something.
Simply Scripts and just look up the show you like, and then what? Just look at the script, or just
First of all, if you never read a television script, the first thing is just to read the script.
right.
You know what I mean? And then
It looks different.
I mean, I've seen them, but I didn't really read them. You know what I mean?
read them. You know, see how the format is, see how it's broken down.
And a lot of times the scripts that are online are the older drafts, not the finished shot script.
Mhm.
You know, so
Right, just when I
you'll
was
see
doing
the
work for you
differences.
guys, I saw the different ones.
Yeah, just start with that, you know, and just see.
So in your final draft and stuff, you can set it to the kind of like that, like TV series, and it'll do the different style for you, or you have to.
They have templates. Oh yeah, templates.
Oh, okay.
There's templates, yeah.
But it's like it's only just a template. Like you have to do it to whatever show, and then kind of just like you said, just forget all that. Just go show style this, and then start writing 3
Yeah,
acts.
that's what I would
see.
do, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
and if you create your own, guess what? You decide what you want to do.
Yeah, I guess it's
Much easier, right?
it's 17 and a half minutes long, but who knows? You know?
Well, yeah.
That's a good question. Good one, Deb. All right. Anyone else, or is any final thoughts? If not, I think we'll just wrap that up then.
Yeah, if you need help, just please email me.
Yeah, that was a good one. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks. Very, very insightful. Appreciate it.
I know it's a lot to throw at you guys fast, but
Yeah, no, that's